YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to part 3, chapter 3, Youth of our man, the myth, the legend, the life and suffering of Sir Davvon Brante. Now, one thing before I get into the reading here, I want to put out there is that if anybody has any suggestions on some new upcoming indie games or just new releases that they'd like to see played through on the channel, go ahead and leave a comment below with some ideas on what to play. I'm trying to play some maybe less heralded new releases. I've been kind of browsing through Steam. That's kind of how I came across this game, is I've been looking for the new releases that maybe not everybody's heard of before to do a little playthrough or some gameplay of games that are maybe less knowledgeable or serve more of like a niche role, or people would like to see like kind of what is the game like before they purchase it. So if anybody's got some recommendations of games they'd like to see, make sure you leave that in the comments below. Also, if you're enjoying the read through / playthrough, like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a lot. If not, it's no big deal. Sit back, enjoy it. Let's get right into it. Now, again, this is chapter 3, Youth, which I'm confused by because, well, we hit 16 years old and it says we're an adult now. We're going to the city. How are we still considered a youth? Either way, last night was your final night at home. The carriage is now waiting at the gate, ready to take you to the capital. The clip-clopping of the idle hooves against the cobblestones count the seconds before your departure. You take one more look at your parents' house and recall your childhood spent there, in the nearby yards, at your school, and on the winding streets of Anazot. You clashed with the greater world around you and survived. You felt the tingle of emotion for the first time. You were taught by the school and the streets. You explored the city of your birth and learned something of its past. You witnessed firsthand events that will be remembered by history for all time. All of this is yours now, forever. You saw death, lesser death followed by rebirth, and the true death that takes and never gives back. You saw death lying in wait to strike the unaware, like a beast stalking its prey. You saw grandfather's angry grimace lit by the flickering fire of the lamp, and the Archduke's cavalry trampling those who stood in their way, and your older brother's cold, bloodied sword slicing through the air. Death has followed you from a very young age. Yes, we've already died twice. And yet you live on. You have a friend who has been by your side all these years. Tomas taught you many things: how to take a hit, how to keep your word, and how to remain true to your own self. And now Tomas is walking to the same carriage as you are, with a heavy bag slung over his shoulder. Your friend will remain your companion for the time being. Ahead of you is a long trip towards the capital and adulthood. For the first time, you'll be away from your family and home. What awaits you in the future? The end of adolescence. Nobility, we hit a 6. We're noble, bright, soulful, full of power, and we've died twice. We have one more death to give. Chapter 3, 16 years of age, Youth. Before we continue here, I just want to make note how long peacetime is compared to the revolt and youth. I might split that up into halves to save my throat. I won't even front. The last one, adolescence, was 2.5 hours. If peacetime goes twice as long as that for like 5 hours, I won't be able to do it. I'm going to be splitting it up into multiple parts.
Leaving my hometown behind, I set out for the capital of the empire. There, I would discover my role in society.
Chapter 3, Youth. Leaving home. The driver flicks the reins. The carriage slowly sways as it starts moving away from your home. You stick your head out the window and wave goodbye to your family. Nathan is running after the carriage with Tomas's younger brother in tow, tears glistening in their eyes. It hurts to leave your home behind. Ahead lies Eterna, the imperial capital. You have often read about it and heard stories from Father and Stefan. It is a city that surpasses Anazot enormously in terms of size, age, wealth, and beauty. But what is it really like? What kind of life awaits you there? What will you learn there, and where will your actions take you? You pass the old walls of Anazot. Some are within them as the old fortress you and Tomas built together out of the wooden planks, now left to the care of your younger brothers. You two are adults now. Perhaps your fortress will crumble, now abandoned, or perhaps your brothers will continue what you started. Who knows? You look down at your hands, knuckles covered in scars from the street antics, fingers stained with ink. Mother gave you a cross to wear away from home, and now you can feel its warmth against your chest. Your family counts on you, even though they all wish different future for you, but they are behind you now in Anazat. From this point on, only you will decide which road you will take. This is the journey you prepared for throughout your entire childhood. Ahead of you lie many years in the capital, years that will determine your fate and your place in society. These are your personal qualities in adulthood, which will use for the rest of your life. They are some of the qualities that you've gained in childhood and adolescence. So we're inattentive and noble. Diplomacy is unknown. Okay, so diplomacy is an unknown. Okay, perception. That makes a lot of sense. That's actually really cool. Kind of merging the two together. My perception's killing me, though. Apparently, we're naive to manipulation. We're a neophyte in theology. I'm a mediocre fighter. I'm inexperienced in scheming. We're about to play some politics. We have clear speech, at least. We're very eloquent, which I can say does not reach out to me IRL, honestly. I'm not very eloquent. These are your personal qualities and how to use for the rest of your life. Onward. Life paths that you will choose from in this chapter. Path of the Lotless. You remain in the common estate with no choice but to fend for yourself and make your own way in the world. Path of the Priest. You enroll in the seminary hoping to become a priest and assume the lot of the clergy. Path of the Nobleman. Like your father and grandfather, you enrolled in the Imperial College hoping to become a judge and a nobleman of the mantle. Or true death. Your earthly life is over. You leave the world forever and face the judgment of the twins. Let's try not to die. So in this chapter, we're going to figure out what our final lot is. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to aim for nobleman. We need a diplomacy higher than 10 plus a valor higher than 10. Also enroll in the college. I don't want to be a commoner. Events in the personal life of the hero that can happen in this chapter. Alyssa's Recti, you save the enigmatic singer known as the Golden Voice from an untimely death. But that means I'm gonna die. Because you see somebody tied up there on the... I can't give up deaths all the time. He failed to protect the Lotless. The Empire utterly destroys the Secret Society. Wait, it's a secret society. You rescue the Lotless, and the Secret Society continues its activities in the capital. Maybe I want to be part of the Lotless now. Bond of friendship. You and Tomas form an unbreakable bond of friendship. Shield of the New Faith. You side with the New Faith and support the transformation of the church. So Tomas becomes a nobleman then. We had to outwit Felipe. Okay. Your personal qualities in this chapter, they will be used for the rest of your life. Diplomacy, theology, and manipulation. I'm not very good at manipulating people, but we have decent valor and elegance. Decent scheming. We're inexperienced, but at least we got a little bit of experience, maybe? I feel like some Game of Thrones stuff is about to come. Year 1134, age 16. Arrival in the capital. It takes a whole month to reach Eterna. You and Tomas spend the days wagging your chins and staring at the scenery as your carriage makes its way along the road towards the next providence. Soon it crosses from the familiar barren, arid lands of Magra to the stately mountains of Illyria. During one of your many stays at a roadside inn, the two of you even manage to share a whole bottle of strong wine and keep it a secret from the servant who drives the carriage. Adult life feels positively intoxicating, probably because you're drunk. Tomas Guerrero. Soon, I tell you, soon we will be there. And I'll earn my sword as I get accepted into the military academy. You'll see. And then nobody's going to walk over me like I'm some commoner. You keep rehearsing everything they taught you in school. Soon you are almost at the end of your long journey. You have left behind the arid rocks of Magra, the mountains of Illyria, and the flooded meadows of Archnia. Eterna, the capital, is right ahead. Situated at the junction between the Reglata and Talarina rivers, the city is vast. 3 majestic stone bridges keep its 3 shores interconnected. Smooth stone paves the main city streets. Gilded moldings decorate the buildings. Towering pillars reach high into the sky. Your carriage takes you past a spacious park with marble fountains and intricately trimmed bushes. On the streets, you see ornately decorated carriages bearing Arcanian coats of arms and abundant merchants' tents filling the streets with beckoning cries and unusual sights. The spires of ancient temples dot the city skyline. The carriage comes to a halt on a large city square with a towering marble fountain. The coachman says you have arrived. Tomas is to apply to the military academy. The academy barracks are 2 streets away. Your lodging house is then in the alleyway nearby. A room has already been reserved for you. Are those flowers or bushes or what is that? Wait. Is that looks like hair coming out of everything. I won't even lie. You get out onto the street and say brief goodbyes to each other. You promise to meet again after the entrance exams. Then your friend disappears into the crowded streets of the capital. You're left to your own devices in this vast city. A group of nobles walk past. They are dressed in well-fitting clothing decorated with gems and golden thread. You are not even noticed. Street urchins chase a dog down the alleyways. Soldiers of the Imperial Legion are marching to fifes and drums towards the barracks. Humble pilgrims are gathering to the great temple of the twins. There are the sounds of music and fountains and the smells of baked bread and garbage drains. Baked bread and garbage drains, huh? You quickly check in at the lodging house, then go back outside. The sun is setting. The streetlights come to life. Merry music fills the taverns. Couples and noble coaches with tinted windows fill the streets. Shadows and hushed voices and laughter fills the parks. You are all alone within the city, so vast and unfamiliar. You take a look around, determined to fill your first night in the capital with memories. You see young nobles gathered by the fountain, talking and making jokes excitedly. One of them keeps glancing at the clock tower. They are about your age. Their clothes are hand-tailored, and 2 of them bear noble swords. They seem to be waiting for something. It might be a good idea to make their acquaintance. It would be most helpful to develop a familiarity with the influential nobles of the capital. Big words, big words. Loud music from a large establishment on the corner distracts you for a moment. The servants have just opened the shutters to air out the hall. It seems there will be a gathering inside. People from various estates greet each other as they take their seats. A servant by the door of the establishment hails you. Sir Gert Arkwright will be making a speech about the rights of the common estate. If you wish to listen, you'd better get inside quickly. Then you look at the great temple of the twins at the far end of the street. The pillar shines in at the evening dusk above it. The temple gates are open and the worshippers are flocking inside. There are too many people for an ordinary service. This must do something important. What do they preach here in the capital? What do they say of the new faith and the teachings of the Patriarch Fotis? You snap out of your reverie when you hear loud laughter. A group of young men dressed in the colors of the Imperial College have made the acquaintance of several lovely girls. They are making their way down the road, united by merriment. One of the girls smiles at you. It is an invitation to join them. They turn the corner and walk away, but you can still hear their voices ringing and echoing through the street. A night of revelry and jolly. Loud fun doesn't sound half bad. This is your first night in Eterna. No matter what you choose, you'll remember it for a long time to come. Meet the noble Laius. You forge a bond with a group of young nobles. You decide to listen to the speech on the rights of commoners. You follow the other worshippers to the temple and attend the nightly service. Or you run after the gaggle of students and join in their merriment. Do we want to be partiers or meet the noble youth? I think we're going to meet the noble youth. I think I can make the most change by being a noble. You approach the young nobles and introduce yourself tactfully. Your father, a judge, has sent you here to study, you explain. Would they mind showing you around the capital? The nobles eye you uncertainly and whisper to each other. You prepare to face the rejection. But, to your surprise, they agree. When the clock tower strikes 8, your new acquaintances proceed to a rich house, not too far away. Candlelight fills the halls before you, reflected in abundant mirrors and gilded picture frames. Manservants bring drinks and refreshments to every guest. There are the sounds of music and laughter and small talk. Here and there you see couples dancing to the music. It appears you have made it to a small noble party. The nobles are gathered in groups. You take the time to get introduced to each of them and join in their small talk. Some discuss their studies at the college, while others relay fresh gossip. Have you heard that a Melandis carriage was seen in the city the other day? You mentioned how you once encountered Octavia Melanides, daughter and heiress to the Archduke of Magra, at a square in Anizot. These words draw a small crowd. The Melanides dynasty rarely, if ever, visits Eterna. They say it is the only house that can stand its ground against the imperial Tempest Dynasty. One young man even allows himself a little joke. They say the great Arcadian house turned to Melanides only when a Tempest needs to be refused. After all, only the Melanides dynasty still knows how to say no. So the emperor pretty much does what he wants unless the Melanides say something to him. But there is more. It turns out all humans owe the Melanides dynasty for their foray into nobility. Char Melanides was the Arcadian who opened the first college, and its graduates were the first to be ennobled by the mantle. To feed and nourish their barren land, the Dukes of Magra took to industry and began adopting innovative industrial and social practices. The dynasty's motto is, "Remembrance and majesty," but strife and change would suit them better. Then the nobles start discussing the other great Arcadian dynasties. The Tempest Dynasty is the first of the first, naturally, marked by the twins anointed to rule. All Tempests are known for their sincerity, often bordering on a volatile temper. Yet it is this very passion that has led them throughout history. The Tempests have been chosen by the gods to rule the empire. The Diamond Dynasty are the main supporters of the emperor's family, honor personified. The Diamonds preside at the Arcadian courts of honor that remain throughout the empire in spite of the public taboo. These courts hold more sway over the laws and lives of the nobility than imperial edicts or prefectural authorities. Some mention Patriarch Junius Diamond, the black sheep of his own dynasty. He preaches the new faith that rejects the lots and serves the minds of the common folk. The Orgriff Dynasty is another noble bloodline favored by the emperor. They zealously advocate the twins' faith and see the empire as a union between heaven and earth. Every year, the Orgriffs donate enough funds to build new temples across the empire. The Monroe Dynasty is an ancient and controversial name. The Monroes often speak in favor of removing humans from nobility, restoring nobility as a solely Arcadian privilege, and returning all human manned offices in the empire to the Arcadians. Many gossipers accuse the Monroes of plotting against the rule of the Tempests to bring back the old Arcadian Republic and the joint rule of the great Arcadian dynasties as it existed long before the emperors first came to be. The discussion of courtly affairs in noble dynasties soon gives way to cultured entertainment. Expensive wine flows like water. You too ask a couple noble ladies to dance and show your skill. You return to your lodging room in the small hours of the night with just enough strength left to undress before your aching head and feet make you collapse. For the first time in your life, you have mingled with a noble crowd on your own, without your family's aid. Diplomacy +1, manipulation +1, and willpower -5. Arrival of the capital, year 1134. You arrived in Eterna, the ancient capital of the blessed Arcadian Empire. Luke's sermon. You have spent the last 3 days studying books, but today you decide to take a walk through the streets of Eterna. They are full of life as usual. You proceed to the square next to the lodging house. A procession of priests walk through the square. You notice that one of them holds a banner of the new faith, an open book. This is the same banner that was behind Patriarch Fotis on the day of his assassination. A crowd immediately gathers around them. Many people are looking at an icon painting on a small pedestal depicting a gray-haired man with glowing green eyes. You recognize that face, the face of the late Patriarch Fotis. A man with a thick beard appears by the icon painting. His broad shoulders bear a white and gold cloak with the coat of arms of the capital province embroidered on it. He is Luke, Patriarch of Arcania. He casts his stern gaze over the crowd. Patriarch Luke. I speak to all who live within the sight of the Shining Pillar. Exactly 1 year ago, we lost Fotis, Patriarch of the Magra province, mentor of the new faith. Patriarch Fotis was the first to see the books of Isacius for nothing but the words of a man, not the words of the twins themselves. He was the first to tell people to seek the path to the gods in their own hearts instead of blindly following the lots. To seek answer in the lives of the twins and their own hearts rather than the words of priests. Through Patriarch Fotis, we were able to see the truth. Through his death, we saw that his words are not heresy. They are the truth that used to be obscured by Isacius's lies. And now I bring good news. Patriarch Junius Diamond has seen to it that our teacher will be canonized as a saint. Yes, Junius Diamond of Arcnian from a great dynasty and the Patriarch of Estinia has joined the new faith himself. And through this, we hope that the entire empire will soon see that our doctrine is the truth. We are free from the shackles of the lots. We are equals before the twins. With each day, more and more people hearken to the truth. And one day, the entire empire will hear our call. So let us pray, my brothers. The believers around you bow their heads in prayer and thank the twins. Not for the lot they were given, as they usually would, but for the chance to choose their own path. The Patriarch's sermon is inspiring. It compels your hand to meet in a sign of prayer. It compels your lips to repeat the words of the new faith. Patriarch Luke's sermon forms a cadence, and your heart beats in time with it now. You recall the murder of Patriarch Fotis a year ago. It seems more patriarchs share his doctrine now. The news of Junius Diamond joining the new faith is stunning. If an Arcnian from a great dynasty has sided with Fotis' doctrine and agreed to see everyone as equals under the twins, the new faith must truly be putting down roots. But suddenly, several figures appear by the podium, figures clad in black with glinting silver on their sides. Inquisitors. They push through the crowd and form a circle around Patriarch Luke. One of these priests rises above the crowd. He is clean-shaven, tall, with chiseled features. Everyone falls silent at the sight of him. The Inquisitors speak with a booming voice that can be heard by all. Father Ulrich. I am Father Ulrich. In the name of the twins and by my right as an Inquisitor, I order you to turn around and leave. The words you're hearing are full of lies. Patriarch Luke has set out to poison your hearts and minds, and the Inquisition will not allow this heresy to spread. The only true path in life is the will of the twins. Life offers us no other choice. You are hereby ordered to disperse at once. Most people leave the square immediately. Few want to get involved with the Inquisition. Some people stay, however, and some even shout angrily, "We want to listen to Luke. He is the Patriarch of Arcnia, and he has more to say. Get away from our sermon, old believers. We will not listen to you and your hoary old lies about the lots." Father Ulrich. Inquisitors, bring those who may yet listen back to the lots and leave the others to the champions of faith. The black-clad Inquisitors descend from the podium and approach the people who choose to stay. With nothing but their words, they make people stop shouting and start listening. The uproar ceases quickly. They have dissected the crowd, split it into smaller groups that surround each Inquisitor. One of these Inquisitors chooses to approach you. He is a humble-looking man of age with a rough haircut. He looks you straight in the eyes. His lively, soulful voice forces you to listen to his words, despite yourself. Jeremiah Hag. My name is Father Jeremiah. I know your thoughts were stirred by the Patriarch's words. You are not sure whom to trust, but I teach you at the seminary. I have been studying the teachings of the twins my entire life. You can trust me. I can hear what I have to say. Wait, what? I know you want to hear what I have to say. I see the light in your eyes, the light of the true faith. Will you listen to my counsel, my son? You feel no malice in the words of Inquisitor Jeremiah, only hope. It is his lot to aid you, to guide you away from error and set you on the path of the true faith. He is a priest, so he should know the truth. Or perhaps the Inquisitor finds himself in the wrong? Listen to his counsel, debate him, or resist him. I think this would probably give me theology. This might help with nobility. I'm going to resist him. You strike a pose of authority and eye Father Jeremiah sharply. Inquisitors cannot order people around you. Say, it is not within the laws of the clergy. Only nobles can give you orders. The other commoners look at you in terror. You have just defied an Inquisitor. However, Father Jeremiah still looks at you without any of the anger you had expected. Jeremiah Hag, my son, your words do indeed contain a germ of truth. I am an inquisitor of the clergy, and by the will of the twins, I cannot give you any orders. But know this, the Inquisition does not imprison everyone suspected of heresy. We exist to protect souls, to guide and save them. We pursue dangerous doctrines and seek to rescue every soul we meet. Arrest or execution is our last resort, reserved only for sinners beyond redemption. You can see that I am merely speaking to you right now. I have not resorted to force, nor am I giving you any orders. But if the need arises, I will summon the champions of faith, nobles who will be there to give orders and punish those who will defy the church. But as long as you are not calling for the overthrow of faith, you are safe from them. And as you said, it is not within my lot to give you orders. You are free to go, but expect no mercy in the hereafter, for after we die, there will be none. With a bitter smile, the Inquisitor leaves you and proceeds further. You leave the square freely, your dignity preserved. The remaining people in the square continue arguing with the other Inquisitors. Armed champions of faith stand by, but they do not intervene. Luke and his retinue can no longer be seen. Only one thing keeps nagging at you: Father Jeremiah's words about how there will be no mercy in the hereafter. Diplomacy +1. I'm about to go Game of Thrones up in this place. Patriarch Luke's sermons have converted many commoners and nobles of the mantle to the new faith. There are now several temples in Eterna that follow the new canons with Luke's blessing. This has led to no small amount of anger among the followers of the old faith. Two mighty bishops of the church lead the new faith. One of them is Luke, the Patriarch of Archnia himself, spiritual mentor of the capital province. He preaches all across Archnia, his every sermon adding to the new faith's flock. The other leader of the new faith is Patriarch Junius Diamond, hailing from a great Archnean dynasty. He is the de facto ruler of Archnean province. Adorned by his subject, he has founded the old holy order anew. Junius Diamond rarely preaches, but people believe the Astinian Patriarch attends to the needs of all who convert to the new faith. The schism within the church is growing. The split has further divided between the commoners and the nobles, though thankfully there has been no direct conflict as of yet. But it has become clearer there's no way to stop the steady advance of the new faith. Born from the death of Patriarch Fotis, it grows stronger by the day. Church +2, schism. Order -1, discontent. Respect the law and the stability of order in the province. The city that never sleeps. The next few weeks pass by in hard work and the preparation for the coming entrance exam of the Imperial College. You grow more and more exhausted with each passing day, so much so that one night you fall asleep while studying another book. When you finally come to, you decide it is high time to get some recreation outside. The city of Eterna amazes you as you stroll throughout its splendid streets. It is another night, a different night, yet the city is beautiful still. The shining pillar is a slice of light against the dark night sky. The lamps on the facades of the buildings are lit. Night descends on the capital. You don't feel like going back to your books tonight. Recently, you made the acquaintance of several young men. They are children of nobles of the mantle just like you, sent to the capital to earn their noble titles at the college. You decide to seek them out. Your new friends are having a late dinner on the next street over, loudly discussing their plans for the night. Some speak eagerly of a dueling club where you can see the most skilled and ardent duelers in the Empire doing what they do best. You have never seen professional duelers fight. It must be far more exciting than Father's fencing lessons or that fight in the ruins of Anazat. And if luck favors you, perhaps you can even make useful contacts among the noble families in the capital. The others try to convince the rest to take a trip to a certain secret salon. The establishment is expecting a guest tonight, they say, a young lady who speaks about the true state of affairs in the Empire. There are many questions about the nature of the place and identify of the mysterious speaker, but the young men have only one answer. They are forbidden to speak about this outside the club. However, they can take you there as long as you aren't afraid to learn a dangerous truth. There are others still drinking their fill of wine rather than eating. Fencing, they say? Speeches? Nonsense. The place you ought to go tonight, they claim, is the Markian Society, a gathering for those of common estate but uncommon opinions that offer pleasures for everyone. Pleasures of the palate, pleasures of drink, pleasures of the flesh. Is this not heresy and crime? Perhaps. And yet some of your newfound friends are eager to go there. In the end, your group splits in 3 to spend the night as they see fit. What will it be? A contest featuring the best fencers in Eterna? An establishment both mysterious and dangerous? Or an encounter with people who defy their lot with audacity? You weigh your options. Dueling Club, a Secret Salon, or the Markian Society? Okay, so here's the issue I'm having right here. Going to the Dueling Club, learning how to use the sword could serve me, especially if I become a noble in the long term, like range of things. All right. One thing we do need to learn though is we have the option to save somebody with some beautiful voice. Mysterious lady and listen to her dangerous speech. Golden voice, right? I feel if I go to the Secret Salon, I might die again, and that will be my last death. I have no more deaths throughout the rest of the game. And I'm just not going to the Markian Society. The whole pleasures thing, I'll pass on that one. So it's between the Dueling Club and the Secret Salon. Now, I'm trying to get more political than I am fighting, but I want to be a noble. I feel like... Okay, I won't lie. The smart answer here is to go to the Dueling Club, but we're going to the Secret Salon because I'm curious. The Secret Salon is an unremarkable wooden building down an alleyway a few blocks from the Great Temple of the Twins. A couple of tough, taciturn fellows at the door eyes you suspiciously. Their faces are obscured by hoods. One of your newfound friends nods to them, and you are allowed inside. The inner rooms are stuffy and overcrowded. All the partitions have been removed to make room for more people. There is a raised platform next to one of the walls, perhaps a stage. There are benches all around. They are occupied by people of the common estate, most of them modestly dressed. They are artisans, tinkers, street vendors, students. Yet you see that some of them are wealthy and impeccably dressed. A mop-headed young man dressed like a low-ranking clerk appears on the stage. He claps to attract the public's attention. When the house goes quiet, he reads a series of pamphlets condemning the supreme authorities of the Empire and the obsolete rule. A group of young men appear on the stage next, their faces covered in blue paint. They perform a derisive play entitled A Day in the Life of the Tempest. The performances are many, but their goal is always the same. They all claim the Empire is stuck in the past and it has to change. Then finally, after another voice of accusation, a young girl appears on the stage, and the crowd immediately goes silent. This is her, the mysterious guest they were talking about. You look at her from the crowd. You see short black hair, a slender figure, and those familiar shining eyes. Sophia. Brothers and sisters, you all come to this place because deep in your hearts you know. It's Sophia, the girl who used to live next door. She's grown so much since you've last seen her. What is she doing here? But before Sophia even finishes her first sentence, a short man in a shabby jacket jumps up onto the stage. He flashes a badge and screams at the crowd, "Nobody move! You're all under arrest as accomplice to insurrection against the Empire!" Imperial gendarmes barge into the house. Swords and crossbows glint in the dim light. First, there is confusion, then panic. Screams of fear and outrage fill the hall. Sophia is already gone. You can barely hear the cries demanding that you stay where you are. People start pushing against the gendarmes, against the doors, against the windows. The din is deafening. Only one thought remains in your mind. You have to run. Run away as fast as you can. You push your way to the furthest window in the hall. A hand grabs you by the sleeve of your jacket. You pry it off without looking and keep pushing forward. The expensive jacket starts to tear at the shoulder. The window frame breaks and falls outside. You drop down after it, shards of glass biting your hand, but you barely feel the plane. You'll have time to feel it later, but now you need to run. You run and dodge and weave through the alleyways before finally heading for the lodging house. Your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, blood is dripping from the cuts on your arms. You have no idea what happened to the people who were arrested. Finally, you reach your room and collapse, not to the bed. You are safe from pursuit, but not from anxiety. What was Sophia going to say? How did she end up here in the capital after she escaped? Was she arrested too? There are too many questions, but you have no way to answer them. Eventually, you drift off into restless sleep. Scheming +1 and experienced. Year 1135, 17 years of age. Year 1135, spring, the Code of Laws. You are on your way to the largest library in Eterna to study for your entry exams. It is right next to the college. The streets are full of people. Everybody is excited. You hesitate for a few seconds, then let your curiosity get the better of you and head towards the place where you will soon study. Before long, you hear the shouting. The great chancellor is about to give a speech about the future of the empire. You cannot possibly miss this. You mix with the crowd and soon find a convenient place to listen and watch what is about to unfold. On the steps of the college, you see a small tribune guarded by 2 Archeans armed with swords. This is the first time you've ever seen an Archean standing guard, let alone 2 of them. The doors of the college open to reveal a stately Archean surrounded by an honor guard. It is he, Cornelius Tempest, great chancellor of the empire, younger brother to the emperor himself. He heads for the tribune and casts a look over the square. It is full of people in utter and awe silence. Long ago, humans witnessed the Archeans' arrival. The 2 nations built the empire side by side, Cornelius Tempest said. The province joined us one by one, and the Magra was the final province to attain the absolute might and majesty of the blessed Archean Empire. Yet there was another great event long before that. 4 centuries ago, the twins had graced us with their presence. With their arrival, the twins granted us their will. They showed us their love and their law, and they granted us knowledge of what awaits us in the hereafter. They chose the dynasty of Tempest to rule the empire, and from that day forth our dynasty has ruled this land, ordained by the gods themselves. However, it is our duty to the twins not to seek power for power's sake, but rather to lead the empire to further prosperity. And so the Great Imperial Council is soon to review and adopt a new set of laws called the Creed. Under the Creed, all estates will be granted rights. Under the Creed, there will be one law for all Imperial citizens to obey. Human or Archean, from the lowliest commoner to the Emperor himself. The strife among the estates will end. A single law will resolve all of our quarrels. Glory to the Empire! The great chancellor throws his arms into the air. The crowd murmurs in applause and approval. Cornelius Tempest casts another look over the crowd and leaves. The crowd disperses. The sounds of agitated discussion are everywhere. Is it true that the Emperor's dynasty seeks to grant equal rights to all estates? What will happen to the Empire then? Power +2. Struggle for power. The girl from your past. It is early morning. You have been awake since sunrise studying. There is a knock at the door. Is it a letter from home or a hotel servant? You open the door and freeze. Stunned. Sophia. Hello, Brante. Before you stands Sophia, the girl who used to live next door. She is all grown up now. She looks so different, but you would always recognize those blue eyes, no matter what. You gesture for her to come in. Sophia enters the room, glances around, and sits in an armchair. You eye the girl you used to know as you sit across from her, but the young woman you see now has little in common with the girl you used to know. There is cold steel in the way she looks at things. Her hair is cut short. But what is she doing here? Sophia. I can explain. I've been living in Eterna for a long time now, ever since I ran from Anazot. I heard the other day that you left for the capital to get into the college, so I found you, and here I am. You ask how Sophia learned about your arrival and where you are staying, but she answers your questions with an enigmatic smile. Sophia. We'll get to that later. Right now, I want to see how much you've changed since we last saw each other. As for me, I've changed a lot. I'm a whole different person now. You look away as you recall your previous encounter, back when Sophia ran away from her Archean master. Sophia chuckles as she continues. Would you like to know what happened next? I traveled throughout the entire empire all alone. I had nothing. My journey ended only when I reached this place, the capital, with all its important people and events. This is the heart of the empire. It's a place where I can make a difference. I made friends here, found people I can truly call my family. I've even gotten an education of sorts. And I have a purpose now. I fight against injustice. I fight against lots. I fight those who treat our lives like mud on the pavement. And no, I'm not afraid to tell you that. I came to you for a good reason. I need help. I know you. I have faith in your good heart. And besides, this is also about the Imperial College you want to enroll in. There is a scholar there by the name of Bartholomew Dextra. He teaches natural sciences at the college. Dextra is an old man, but he's quite progressive. He'll stop at nothing to advance science and acquire new knowledge. As you know, only second-generation nobles or above are allowed to teach at the college. But Dextra, he is a commoner. He forged his patent of nobility to get a position at the college. But the secret chancellor recently learned of this. Dextra is about to face true death for this forgery. But how is that justice? A man wants to teach people, and for this they're going to take all his lives? They're going to punish him for the crime of being born in the wrong estate? It's evil and obscene, and I will not stand for it. Dextra deserves to be rescued. But I don't want to put anyone in danger, so I need your help. You're from a rich family, you're almost a noble. If you help me get Dextra out of the city, nobody will suspect anything. No one will know, and the scholar will live on to continue his research elsewhere, far away from the secret chancellery. Will you help me? You feel perplexed by Sophia's sudden request. She is asking you to break imperial law and undermine the work of the secret chancellery to save the scholar. Rescuing Dextra would be an adventure, but it would also be incredibly dangerous. And besides, Dextra is a fake noble. He resorted to lies and deceit to get his current position. How much does this matter to you? Sophia's blue eyes are studying you, waiting for your reply. There is no way you are going to rescue some false noble. He is getting his just desserts. You agree to help Sophia rescue Dextra. Sophia does not equal merciless. I'm torn on this one too, because I want to fight against the lots. See, in the back of my mind, I'm calculating that I have one death to give, and what is my best place to give it to? You know what I mean? You turn Sophia over to Otten. If you help her now, we'll make up for what you did to her. No. I never turned her over. I'm gonna help her just because I've already given a life for her. And if I've already given a life for her, I want to see the relationship through, if that makes sense. I want to see where my life gets me. So we decide to help her. The girl from your past. You promised to help Sophia. Bartholomew Dextra does not deserve this. He has to leave the capital. She can count on you. Sophia. I knew I could count on you. Then we must act at once. There's no time to waste. Dextra is to be arrested tomorrow. Here's his address. Go there as soon as the sun sets. No one will suspect you. Dextra often tutors young men for the college entrance exams. Tell him the owl sent you. Use the back door to get out. A carriage will drive up to the backyard. The driver will hoot like an owl. He'll take you to the south gate. If the guards stop the carriage, just talk your way out of it. Once you're outside the city, Dextra will ride away in a different carriage. You'll go back the way you came. I'll meet you in Majesty Square. You nod to her words and your hands start to shake. You're about to go against the secret chancellery. You're going to help someone escape punishment. To defy your own lot like this, it's unthinkable. When the sun sets, you leave the lodging house and walk quickly, glancing over your shoulder repeatedly. Bartholomew Dextra's house must be somewhere around here. You find the place. A genteel old man opens the door. His face is covered in wrinkles. His shoulders are stooped, and yet his eyes are sharp and lively. Bartholomew Dextra looks at you for a moment, then asks you why you paid him a visit. You tell him you want to enroll in the college and are looking for a tutor. Dextra nods and invites you inside. Once you make sure nobody else can see or hear you, you whisper to the scholar about the real reason for your visit. The secret chancellery will be coming for him tomorrow, and he has to leave now to escape true death. Dextra freezes, then turns to you. How do you know about him and the secret chancellery? You tell him that an owl sent you and is provided for his escape. As for the secret chancellery, they want him for forging a patent of nobility. The moment you utter Sophia's name, the lecturer calms down and starts packing for the journey. You watch him distractedly and notice that he lives in a rather austere fashion. It does not take him long to pack. You hear the quiet, clacking hooves in the yard. Carefully, you and Dextra proceed to the backyard of the building. You see a carriage there. The driver hoots quietly. You get in. The carriage rolls down the road. There is tense silence in a closed-off space inside the carriage. The scholar wrings his hands anxiously. Through the carriage windows, you see the massive city gate passing by. You are almost outside the city, but then a loud voice reaches you. Halt! The driver obediently halts the carriage. Two city gendarmes approach you. Gendarmes? I'm going to call them guards. I'm just going to call them guards. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. You leave the carriage to face the guards before they can get a peek inside the carriage. They look you over and ask you where you are going so late. You tell them you are the son of a judge in Magra, here to enroll in the college, and right now you wish to visit the estate of a newfound friend. To convince them further, you mention the name of a noble son you have become friendly with. The guards release the carriage and wish you a pleasant trip. You drive along the high road until you encounter a peasant wagon. Dexter will take it to seek refuge far away from the capital. Before the two of you part ways, he pats you on the shoulder and tells you that you have done a truly brave deed. You return to the city without incident. You find Sophia in Majesty Square, as agreed, sitting on a bench by a streetlight, reading a book of some sort. She closes the book when she sees you and offers you her hand. Sophia, you did everything go according to plan? You nod. Then we've earned ourselves a bit of free time. Let's go. You set off on a walk through a maze of narrow back streets. Finally, you have some time for questions. What happened to Sophia over the last 2 years? She was just a girl before, a servant. How is she now a revolutionary? Sophia just smiles sadly. Sophia, you've seen what I can do. I'm not just a girl. The Inquisition caught up with me when I ran away from Anazotz, and I ended up in the House of Humility, a dreadful place. I got collared. You know how it feels to lose your free will? Losing everything that makes you, you? She unclasps the tall shirt collar that had been hiding her neck all this time, and you see the round mark from the anti-magic collar. Sophia, they say a scar like this will remain even after a lesser death, but I got lucky. Patriarch Junius Diamant saved me. Diamant took me and the other mages from the House of Humility and removed our collars. He made me one of his attendants. He taught me that there are no lots. He told me that I'm like this not because I'm a freak, but because it's my nature. He told me I can find a path to the twins like anyone else in the world. And then I was taken. I got out on my own. I found my own lot, to protect the common people from the noble yoke, to help others who are as unlucky as I am, to fight for a different world, a world where everybody has equal rights, a world where mages don't get robbed of their will just because of one aspect of their birth, a world where the nobles no longer tread upon the commoners. Yes, this is our dream, but we are still so far away from it. But I'll keep moving towards it, and I'll stop at nothing. A strange, distorted expression appears on Sophia's face, but she quickly returns to normal. You keep walking until you are at your lodging house again. For a moment, you just stand there looking at each other. Then suddenly, Sophia embraces you. For a moment, she remains still in your arms and whispers, Sophia, you should join my cause. If we work together, one day it will become a force to be reckoned with. You know you came here to find your way, but I'll never believe you really want to bind yourself to other people's laws and desires for the rest of your life. The path I walk is dangerous. It's almost hopeless, but it's worth living for. Think about it. Goodbye. Then she withdraws just as quickly and disappears in the dark streets of Eterna. You make your way back to your room, exhausted by the events of the day. Was this really just a single day in your life? +3 sympathy. Sympathy with Sophia, huh? Scheming +1. We're a conspirator now. And we get +1 valor, but we're still a mediocre fighter.
I will never forget that day. For it was then that I chose the path I would walk for the rest of my life.
There are only a few days left until the Imperial College entrance exam. History, law, theology. You spend all day reading and rereading the books you brought with you, staying at the Library of Eterna for hours, sometimes until it closes. As the day of the exam approaches, your hands start shaking more and more. Finally, the day comes. A clear sky hangs over Eterna today. The breeze is warm. You dress in your best outfit, a gray jacket and velvet culotte trousers. You comb your hair carefully and polish your boots until they shine. You leave the lodging house and head for the Imperial College. Your legs grow heavier with each step. Your anxiety at the fact your fate will be decided today is virtually tearing you apart. The college is a majestic building that looks not unlike a castle. In the square in front of it, you can already see several dozen people, young men, sons of nobles of the mantle, like you, waiting for the college's doors to open. Time slows to a crawl. At last, the doors open. A stately man dressed in a professor's mantle appears at the entrance. He is the dean of the college. The students to be fall silent as the dean gets ready to deliver his welcoming speech. But the silence is interrupted by heavy footsteps and clanking armor. A squadron of warriors emerge near the college, led by Arcanian officers. Their banners bear an image of golden grains. The noble militia of Monia province? What are they doing here? The nobles of Monia form a circle around the college, each warrior moving quietly and precisely until a chain is formed. One of the Arcanians is clad in an old-fashioned suit of armor. He is the leader of the militia. He locks the bar on the massive doors of the college into place, then proceeds to the stairs to address the crowd loudly. Sorry for the pause. I had a burp really bad. Junius Monroe. Commoners! Before you stands Junius of the Monroe Dynasty, Archduke of Monia. By my will, the college is hereby closed and today's entrance exam is cancelled. Your lowly origins make you unfit for the great honor of rendering service to the Empire, a right that ought to be available only to the hereditary nobles of the sword. Another spelling error. I apologize. I'm gonna reread that. There's another error in the paragraph. Your lowly origins make you unfit for the great honors of rendering service to the Empire, a right that should be available only to the hereditary nobles of the sword. The college's reputation has been tarnished. It breeds mock nobles who bear not a trace of noble blood. You belong in the lowly estate, but have forgotten your place. Cornelius Tempest and other traitors to the Empire are indulging you in defacing the Inquisition of the nobility for their lowly interests. A noble lot for those of lowly birth? How can this be? I will not stand for the disintegration of the Imperial Order. Now turn away from the college this instant and return to the humble trades of your ancestors. Plow your fields and mend your boots and work and suffer by your lot. If any of you dares to set foot upon these stairs, you will be killed at once. The students to be meet this speech with a stunned silence. The crowds in the square is growing. However, the news of the Monian noble militia and the college's closing spreads through the streets like wildfire. More humans join the crowd. College students, commoners, officials who worked hard to be ennobled. Unrest grows around you. You hear people calling to rush the Archduke Monroe's forces to take control of the college and defend your right to become noble. The Emperor himself gave us this right. We have to fight for it. This is a decisive moment for all of you. The old gentry has challenged you. Will you accept this challenge? In the face of the shameful illegal act by the Archduke's forces, you may prove that all of you deserve the noble lot. You'll need to break through the cordon, get inside the college, and take control of it. The nobles will never dare hurt you if your presence is strong enough. If you are ready to risk it all and fight for your right to the nobility, you'll have to lead the charge. People keep coming to the square in the meantime, including servants and students and teachers from the Divine Seminary. The lot of the clergy is to guide others to the right path. When the estates clash, the priests are bound to intervene. The seminary teachers instruct their students to form a line between the noble and militia and the outraged crowd. The priests begin telling the warrior nobles and the riotous commoners to return to the preordained divine order, lest they provoke the wrath of the gods. The wrath of the gods, as the priest utters these words. The crowd around you disappear. A vision appears before your eyes. The Empire is ablaze. You see burning lands steeped with pain and despair everywhere, the rivers overflowing to extinguish the burning world. You can tell that the soil scorched by such fire will never bear fruit again. The gods given vision demands to be heard, demands to be prophesied to the world, but only a priest may speak to the twins and for the twins. Will you keep it inside, or will you step into the path the twins have revealed to you? Somebody shoves you in the back and you snap out of the vision. You turn around to see a small but decisive troop of commoners moving quickly through the crowd. They are led by Sophia. As soon as she sees you, she signals to them to stop. Sophia, so you're here too. Going to the rush to college, are you? Can't you see it already? The laws cannot be trusted. They gave you the right to study here just to throw you a bone. When the going gets tough, your masters will take it all away. It's time for you to decide. We are the Lotless, and we are not putting up with the system any longer. We will fight for a new world. Are you coming with us, or are you going to submit to them? There are students and professors locked inside the college. Who knows how long Monroe will maintain this siege? And what if they start slaughtering people? Neither group of nobles will care what happens to them. We're going to go inside and pull them out. Come with us if you're ready to take control of your destiny. The tension in the square is palpable, and the situation is about to implode. Students, commoners, nobles of the mantle, followers of the new faith, all of them are gathering their forces to move on the wall of soldiers. They expect the nobles to let them through en masse. Surely they won't start a massacre. The Lotless, led by Sophia, prepare to break through the siege to rescue the people within the college. And all the while, the priests preach peace to both sides of the conflict. The college is your only way into the nobility. Only you can fight for your new lot and fulfill your duty to your family. You could organize an offensive strong enough to get into the college and thus seize your lawful right like a true nobleman. Yet the revelation about the wrath of the gods still pulses in your mind. Once revealed, this vision will take you on a different path. Standing with the priests and preaching what you have just seen, warning all of the dire danger of the path of warring estates, and bringing the twins' word to the people and guiding them to salvation. Could this be your new lot? Sophia and the Lotless, they expect you to join their struggle. They are waiting for you to cast off the old ways and the eternal yoke of subservience. If you choose this path, you will not change your lot and your suffering will continue. But your suffering might just change this world. This is the moment. Your future life will be decided here now. Okay, well. We either break through the cordon into the college, preach your revelation, or follow the Lotless. Decisions. Okay, so I'm not going to be preaching the revelation. I want no part of churches and stuff like that. You join Sophia and bring in her men and try to rescue the besieged students. You lead the future students and attempt to storm the college. I still feel like my best place to make a change would be as somebody from within the inside, so a noble. As much as I'd like to stick with Sophia, I feel like Sophia keeps dragging me down to death over and over again, and as much as I want to follow her, what the vision she wants and to overthrow the current way of things, I feel like she's going to end up getting me killed. So we're going to break through the cordon into college, even if this leads to a death. You get to work. Recalling the books on military tactics you used to study as a boy, you call out to the students and children of nobles around you and assume command. They hear you and they listen. You stand together in close formation and march towards the weakest link in the line of nobles. More people join you along the way. A veritable phalanx of young men armed with nothing but determination against the noblemen's swords. The noble militia readies their steel. The Archnean officer in command of this section halts you and orders you to turn back. You step forward and give him your reply. These people are here to study at the college as the emperor himself has decreed. You have every right to fulfill the imperial law, and any nobles who dare to intervene will be defying Sir Tempest to himself. Your plan works. The officer hesitates when confronted with your words and your vigor. The noble militia is no longer ready to use their swords. This is your chance. You command your forces to focus their advantage in numbers for a singular push, and the militia line breaks. You reach the college gates. More people start running for the breach. The nobles get their bearings quickly, enough to restore the line, but your phalanx is already inside. You waste no time and begin barricading the gate. Students who were stuck inside the college run toward you. You quickly tell them your plan. Block all the doors and windows with whatever comes to hand before Monroe's forces can get in. If they do get in, only the twins will know what they will do. One by one, all the entrances are swiftly barricaded. The riot outside the college is calmed for a moment, it seems. Through an open window, you hear Monroe giving orders to his militia. The Archduke is forming a strong perimeter outside the college, ready for a proper siege. Students and professors at the college go to the balcony to negotiate. You are among them. Argerius Monroe. Surrender and leave this building. I am not here to kill or execute you. No loyal subjects will die by my hand. The humans boo and jeer at Monroe's proposal. The dean himself appears on the balcony. The imperial family established the college, he claims, and he cannot defy orders given by the great Archean Tempest Dynasty. And so the college remains besieged. The noble militia stands in a circle around the building, but there are no preparations for an assault. The outrage in the square continues. You remain in control of the college for the entire day and the following night. But at sunrise, the Emperor's herald arrives at the square. He brings news. The Emperor is delighted to see Archduke Monroe in the capital, yet he demands that the noble militia of Monia vacate the square and allow classes to begin at the college. The besieged college celebrates the news. This is how the work of Cornelius Tempest, great chancellor, the Emperor's brother, he managed to convince the Emperor to order Monroe to withdraw. Even the Archduke of Monia, the most powerful noble lord in all the Empire, cannot disobey a direct order from the Emperor. Still, the college would never have held out for an entire day without your phalanx's determination and your daring plan. Yet the people of the common estate, the people of the common estate, have secured your right to study and earn the noble lot. The college is open again, and the entrance exam will take place in a few days. You aren't nervous at all this time. All the lessons at home, the books, the schooling, your own noble actions, all that work and effort has finally reached its culmination. The procedure for appointing a provincial overseer, the 5 great Archean dynasties, the property rights of all estates, you answer all these questions with ease. Hours pass, and the dean of the college reads the names of the new students to the young men gathered at college steps. Your name is among the first. He praises what you did in defense of the college. People like you are the Emperor's future, Sir Brante. Sunlight fills the college square. It feels so soft and soothing here in Eterna, not as harsh as it gets in the Anazot. You watch the pillars shine in the sky as you walk down the steps of the college. You are a Brante, the 3rd judge in the family, the man who will soon join the family's noble blood tide. You have seized your right to achieve the nobleman's lot. You should write to your father now. He will be so proud of you. Path of the Nobleman events has happened. Like your father and grandfather, you enroll in the Imperial College, hoping to become a judge and a nobleman of the mantle. I have lukewarm, like I have mixed feelings on this. I wanted to be a noble because I feel like I want to overthrow the current caste system, the lot system that they have employed. So my think process is this: Sophia is way too frontal in her in the way, and I feel like I can be more of an assistant to her and in the shadows of the noble side, if that makes sense. She might want to get rid of the system or remove the yoke of people who are trying to control us. But I feel like just more can be done if I'm as a noble. I just feel like I can do more as a noble, and I feel like I can do my own designs better than maybe she can. She will probably just lead me to another death, and I only have one to give. I don't trust her judgment yet. Bonds of friendship. You return to the lodging house one last time to gather your belongings for the move to your new home. A young man dressed in the uniform of the military academy greets you by the door. It takes you a moment to recognize Tomas. Your friend locks you in an embrace. Tomas Guerrero. Brant! Hey, how are you? I heard about the nasty stuff that went down in the college square. Those damn gentry would do anything to keep lowborn folks under their thumb. Glad the situation resolved itself. As for me, I'm an academy cadet now. He is beaming with pride. You invite him in the chat while you pack. Tomas continues to relay the news as you walk up the stairs. Tomas Guerrero. I made it into the top 10. Can you imagine? Did pretty well in sparing and the sciences. It was all thanks to the help he gave me back in the school in Anazot. I'll be studying the art of war now, and then it's a quick march to a noble title. How about you? You tell Tomas about what happened over the past few days and of the path you have chosen. He remains quiet as you speak. Both of you realize that you may never see each other again. Tomas Guerrero. You know, Brant, here's what I think. You may have your own path in life, but you're my friend. We gotta make sure our friendship lasts forever, no matter what happens to us. Here, I brought 2 brass rings. If the old tradition is to be believed, both the rings and their wearers will always remain close to each other, no matter where fate takes them. What do you say? The 2 of you grew up side by side. Tomas, the audacious, hot-blooded, sharp-tongued young boy who used to live next door. You can't imagine how your childhood would without him. But it wouldn't be right to promise him that your friendship will last forever, no matter what happens. 2 rings made of plain brass lie in his open palm. If you wear these rings, you will be bound by ties of friendship for the rest of your life. Take the ring. You take the ring. The 2 of you have been friends for a long time. It seems unthinkable that your friendship could ever end. End the friendship. You're not the children you used to be. This is where you must part ways. You are sure you will do your best to keep the friendship, but you cannot promise it will last forever. Take the ring that will bind your fate to Tomas's and swear an oath of eternal friendship. Destiny, path of the noble. And we're gonna. Tomas has been there through thick and thin, dude, and we're gonna need friends in the path. So, thought process here: we might have inadvertently kind of turned our back on Sophia, and while I think we'll still have the opportunity within Sophia's lot group, Tomas is probably not going to like what they stand for, but I'm still going to need an ally to make my changes. I'm taking control of this narrative. I'm not following somebody else's narrative, and I am going to line up my chess pieces the way that I need them in order to make the changes that I want. I am controlling the narrative. So we're going to swear that oath. If I have to betray it later, I'm going to do it reluctantly. I'm only going to do it as a last resort, but I will make the changes I want my way. Bonds of friendship. You take one of the rings from his outstretched palm. The 2 of you walk side by side ever since you were children. Even now, you are walking in the same direction toward a noble title. You as a judge and Tomas as a warrior. Nothing will ever tarnish your bond. You swear an oath of eternal friendship to Tomas. Tomas solemnly swears the same. You put the brass ring on your pinky, a perfect fit. Tomas follows suit. He starts beaming again. Tomas Hero, and now we're friends forever, for all eternity. We gotta celebrate this. Come. I know a place I gotta show you. Tastiest meat I've ever tried, Brent. My treat. The 2 of you go to a noble salon by the square of Emperor Severine. Surrounded by tobacco smoke and mead bottles, you wag your tongues, recall the days of your adolescence, and make plans for the future. Nobody knows what could be waiting for you, but you promise you will never lose sight of each other. Bound by friendship. You and Tomas form an unbreakable bond of friendship. Year 1135. Fall. A letter from home. As soon as you are accepted into the Imperial College, you send a letter back home. The family replies quickly. The letter arrives in under a week. Most of it is covered with your father's handwriting. Robert Brant. I am proud of you, my son. I believe your grandfather takes pride in you too. You have brought our family one step closer to being ennobled by the sword. You will make an excellent judge. I have complete faith in your intellect and your will. You shall bring glory to our family. Stefan's congratulations follow your father's. Congratulations, brother. The simple foot could only dream what you have already achieved. You can thank father and grandfather for this opportunity, but it was you who proved yourself worthy. Once you received your new lot, you and I will be equals at last. Then some words of praise from Mother and Nathan. Lydia Brandt, you have brought your father much joy and make him proud, and I am witness to this. You now walk this path, all thanks to him. Yet, it saddens me that you did not consider the Divine Seminary, where you could have dedicated your life to our gods as well as the Empire itself. Nathan Brandt. You worked so hard for this. We held a big feast in your honor back home. I hope you achieved all you've ever wanted. And at the very end, there is a small note from your sister. Gloria. Congratulations. Good luck. Very short. Gloria must not like it. Robert Brandt +4 affection. Stefan Brant, +4, affection. Gloria, -1. She's not happy, but we already have affection with her. My family is pretty well firmly behind me overall. The ball. It is only a few days since you became a student at the college. Your education has barely begun when an amazing piece of news surprises all the students. Every year, Cornelius Tempest, the great chancellor and the emperor's younger brother, grants an honor to all future nobles of the mantle and invites them to a masquerade at his summer palace. The professors and lecturers instruct you to look and act your best in order to preserve the college's honor. They tell you more about the ball, too. All who attended from the college must prove themselves with words or deeds to the members of the great Arcanian dynasties that will be present there. This means the reputation of your home province will be at stake, too. It's time to get ready. You order a proper suit of the occasion and mask to go with it. It looks simple, but by no means plain, and only hides your eyes. The day comes, you spend an entire morning preparing for the ball. Your fellow students give you hints about how to attach the cuffs, keep the collar straight, and make sure your hair remains coiffed for the entire night. Soon the carriages start flocking to Cornelius Tempest's summer palace. The tall, ornate outer fence surrounds a sprawling garden in full bloom. The marble-paved driveway is so wide it can accommodate 2 rows of carriages. You and your fellow students walk up the massive stairs to the front door of the palace. You seem tiny and incongruous against the background of this scenic grandeur. The master of ceremonies instructs all newcomers to seek the province's coats of arms. You see the banner of Magra from far away, depicting the silver tree digging its roots into the murky gray soil. Below it is a banner bearing the coat of arms of the Monroe Dynasty. It turns out students from the college were not the only ones invited to this party. You see academy cadets lined up beneath the banners too, and Tomas is among them. A wide grin appears on his face when he sees you go under the banner of Magra. Tomas Guerrero. I just knew you'd be here today, pal. What can I say? Congratulations, student. And as for me, I'm not so bad off myself, see? The military academy is father and mother to me now. His merry speech is interrupted by a tall, proud Arcanian in a heavy cloak. You recognize him. He is Dorius Otten, Sophia's former master. Dorius Otten. Make way for your commander, soldiery. The last time you saw Otten, he was searching the back streets of Anazot by your house for a girl servant. But now the young Arcanian's uniform betrays his high standing. He is young, yet he is already the province's commander. Who put him in charge of all the military forces of Magra at such an age? Thomas Guerrero. What's wrong? You know him or something? A brief description of Otten is enough to wipe the smile off his face. You see no other high-ranking officials bearing the colors of Magra at this party. It seems Dorius Otten will be the main representative of your province tonight. You watch the other college students and academy cadets line up under the provincial banners. The blue and silver banner of Arcania, the emperor's own province, is in the very center of the hall. Judging by the hilts jutting out from beneath their belts, many of those who surround the banner are nobles of the sword. Tomas is clearly jealous. The group from Arcania stands proudly, ennobled by its iconic and dignified history. The Arcanian race and the empire originated in their very hands. A sizable group of students stand under the banner of Monia, a wealthy agriculture. A sizable group of students stand under the banner of Monia, a wealthy agricultural province signified by yellow grains on a field of ore. I gotta piece this one together. Hold on. This is kind of yellow grains on a field of ore. Maybe it's ore as in like mining ore. Because they left out the E. Okay, let me restart. Let me reread this slowly. A sizable group of students stand under the banner of Monia, a wealthy agricultural province signified by yellow grains on a field of ore. The wealth of this young men beneath this banner is plain to see. Their entire attire is on par with the Arcanians in terms of luxury and perhaps even more vibrant in terms of color. The most numerous group of the party stands under the banner of Illyria, a yellow griffin against a field of azure. All the Illyrians are clothed in well-tailored suits with a minimum of decoration. Some of them wear gloves. Most of them come from wealthy industrial families, and it seems many of them would feel more at ease in their family factories than at noble party like this one. 3 banners represent the northern provinces of Fiona, Hermia, and Constanta. These banners, like the groups associated with them, stand together. The Royal Tempest Dynasty oversees all 3 of them. The students and cadets are clearly well off, yet they are dressed in modest, functional garments in honor to honor the austere traditions of the North. And finally, the smallest of the groups is represented by an open book against a field of argent. Astinia, homeland of the Diamond Dynasty. By the order of Patriarch Junius Diamond, the open book of the new faith has been added to the banner only recently. Nearly all the young men in this banner are clothed in academy uniforms. They wear no adornments but are clad impeccably with nary a button undone, the embodiment of rigor and restraint. The master of ceremonies signals the beginning of the party. It is time for dancing. The first dance is a minuet, and so tradition calls for everyone to dance. Harpsichord music fills the hall. The academy cadets waste no time finding dance partners, and soon already making the fluid first steps of the minuet. You take a look around. One of the young ladies representing Magra catches your eye. She is slender, like all Arcnians, and clothed in a yellow dress embroidered with emerald green, her face hidden behind a full mask decorated with bright green feathers. What happens next seems unbelievable. The enigmatic lady walks towards you. The way she looks at you, the way she walks. The black eyes from behind the mask watch you closely. She tilts her head. There are no words, but you feel there is a question. Everyone in the hall is startled by a sudden noise. You look behind you and see Thomas getting up off the floor, his face a grimace of rage. Dorius Otten stands before him, eyeing him with disgust. His arm rests on the hilt of his sword. Dorius Otten, who allowed this clumsy commoner inside the great chancellor's palace? Its noble masters are trying to dance and it's getting underfoot. Tomas looks like he's about to explode in Otten's face, but the smug Arcnian sword is a clear threat. If your friend's rage gets the better of him, you'll end up in trouble. The enigmatic Arcnian beauty, however, quickly loses all interest in their quarrel. She comes even closer to you, expecting you to invite her to dance. My diplomacy is not high enough. Draw Otten's ire upon yourself. We're running kind of low on willpower. I'm gonna be honest here. The only reason that I am dancing with the mysterious lady is because I have 1 life left. And I am not going to be brought down by somebody else. Sophia's not going to bring me down, and Tolman's not going to bring me down. I will run this narrative. If I had an extra death, I would draw Otten's ire upon myself. But I don't have 1 more death. Well, if I had 2 deaths, I would do it. But I only have 1 death left. I need to save it. And I'm curious. You turn your head towards the Arcnian beauty and offer your hand, taking care not to rush your movements. A moment later, her fingers gracefully come to rest in yours. The masked lady's touch feels electric against your skin. You walk together to the center of the hall where the other couples are already dancing. You bow and she makes a curtsy. Her hands are incredibly thin. They seem so delicate, you fear you might snap them if you squeeze too hard. You adjust to her steps, counting the rhythm of the music. Your lady for the dance is an Arcnian, a noble born to rule, yet this is a dance where you must take the lead. As you walk around her, your eyes catch an embroidered ornament on the arm of her dress. You spot many thin emerald threads, all interwoven in a pattern of interlocking snakes. This young woman is Octavia Melandis, daughter to the Archduke of your home province. Octavia Melandis. Is that the lady that dropped her handkerchief? The minuet ends. You bow to the lady and offer to accompany her wherever she chooses before the next dance. Octavia Melandis. Why, they may so kind as to accompany me for another dance. Before you know it, the night is almost over. Octavia will not let you go. She does not accept another invitation until she has danced with you 3 times. You spot Tomas in the crowd during a break. He catches your eye and salutes you with a wine glass. Judging from his lopsided grin, Auden must have had him removed from the dance floor. But any concern for your friend is forgotten when you see the beautiful Octavia approaching you again. Okay, so we got some willpower out of that, so we can make bigger decisions down the road. Tomas seems like he turned out all right. Year 1136, 18 years of age. The Trial of the 50, year 1136, winter. You have lived another year in the capital. Eterna has been shaken up by what is now known as the Trial of the 50. 50 people stand trial at once, all prominent members of several political circles. They are accused of treason and conspiracy against the crown. The accused spoke in favor of reducing the power of the nobles and granting more rights to the common estate. There were no mentions of rebellion, yet those words alone were enough to indict them. Every session of the trial is open to the public. It is a show of power made to discourage people from forming such circles ever again. You attend one of these sessions. The 50 face their verdict: forced labor in the mines of Magra and Illyria for the regular members, and true death for their leaders, 6 men and 1 woman. Their public execution takes place in the central square of Eterna. You remember the woman. Her name was Annie Serene. She made a speech before her execution. A young woman, not too tall, her face almost plain, with long bangs over her eyes. She looks calm, even at this moment. You cannot believe she's about to leave this world forever. Annie Serene takes a look around before she speaks. Her voice is quiet, but you are close enough to hear every single word. She says she is happy to give her lives fighting for the rights of the people. Her cause will never die, Annie claims. Others like her will continue their work in hiding, for their cause is right and just. She is dragged away to the others. They put a sack over her head and tighten a noose around her neck. A hand yanks on the lever, and the 7 dangle in the air. Their feet tremble at first, then grow still. There are gasps and cries of discontent in the crowd. Struggle for power and discontent. More order, though. Okay. I wonder if that was a secret society I kind of turned my back on and didn't join. I wonder if Sophia is going to be taking like control of that. Sir L. Croix's lesson. Your studies at the Imperial College may have begun with a luxurious party, but soon you settle into a routine of lesson after lesson. Along with dozens of other future judges, you spend hours listening to lectures in spacious college halls with high ceilings. You study imperial law and legislation, analyzing every technicality and interpretation. The subjects only get tougher, and the instructors grow ever more demanding as your studies continue. Yet law is not the only thing you study. There are other disciplines as well, such as rhetoric and orthography. A true judge must make a perfect command of both the spoken and written word. Washing dark blue ink off your fingers becomes an indelible part of your daily routine. Of all your classes, you find the fencing lessons particularly exciting. Every lesson covers your body with more cuts and bruises and makes your muscles ache from exertion, but your childhood dream is worth it. Then finally, there comes a short break in your studies, a handful of days for your rest and recreation. You meet Tomas to discuss how you're going to spend this time. Tomas Guerrero. You're coming with me tonight. No excuses, Brant. We'll be paying a visit to our mentor, Baron Elcroy. It's time you learned a thing or two about how we do things in the military. Your friend looks very cunning and pleased with himself when he says this. With a sigh, you change out of your college uniform and into your best clothes and follow him. Tomas rushes you to a 2-story house somewhere in the noble neighborhood in the capital. Its windows are open and you can hear people talking over each other. The house's sitting room is filled with young people, at least 24 men, almost all of them academy cadets. In the middle of the sitting room is an armchair, and in this armchair is a gentleman wearing the uniform of the Imperial Legion officer and smoking a pipe. His thick hair falls over his large, observant eyes. Baron Elcroy welcomes the two of you with a slight nod and continues his speech while everyone listens respectfully. Gunter Elcroy, as I was saying, young men, I firmly believe that the days when all the military glory of the Empire belonging to the Archean dynasties are long gone. Human nobles have been serving the Empire, at least as well as the Archean nobles for as long time now. Still, the Archeans keep acting like their origins are more important than their honor and service to the crown. Take the Melanidas dynasty, for example, the Archdukes of Magra. Long ago, their leader, Shar Melanides, fomented a rebellion against the ruler of the Tempest and the twins' faith. He sucked all life from his own land, doomed thousands of his own subjects, and yet the Melanides dynasty still rules over Magra like nothing ever happened. Then suddenly, Sir Elcroy flashes a cunning grin. Gunter Elcroy. I think this calls for a test of your strategic thinking, young men. But first, let me refresh your memory on the rebellion of Shar Melanides. It may seem surprising, but we have him to thank for our current status. He was the first to ennoble humans, an act of unprecedented insolence. But it gave the rebellious duke immense support in this province. He risked his own reputation and title to make himself stronger thanks to humans, and in that, he succeeded. No one had ever dared challenge the rule of the Archeans and the Tempests before, but the rebellion of Magra changed everything. Humans became a part of the nobility. We got a taste of the power only the Archeans could wield before. And unless I'm mistaken, most nobles in the Empire these days are human. Why, we outnumber the members of the Archean dynasties dozen times over. So Shar Melanides had complete rule and control over the lands of Magra. He had the loyalty of his ennobled human subjects, and he had the loyalty of the mages and witches who fled to Anazot, the only place in the Empire where they could hide from the church. The Archduke of Magra had everything he needed to win, and yet two pivotal changes brought him down. First of all, he cast a magic spell that incinerated the entire province. It certainly stopped the Imperial legions in their tracks, but the population of Magra would no longer side with Shar Melanides after that. Second, the clergy struck at the rebellious duke with the power of the twins. His magic was gone, and his main advantage was no more. Many fled. But as you know, it still took the Empire an entire month of siege before the palace in Anazot was taken. After the rebellion of Magra, the Empire changed drastically, and most importantly, humans finally received the lawful right to be ennobled. And I'd like to stress that in particular, ennobled not by birth, but by virtue of their own knowledge and talent. History, young men, is more than just a memory of the past. It is also a lesson for our future. I believe that a part of our history proves my point, and now a test to tell me. If you were among the Imperial strategists during the rebellion, how would you have done? How would you fought an enemy as powerful as Shar Melanides? With this, Sir Elcroy leans back in his armchair and takes a pull from his pipe while the cadets start discussing. Some take no time to say they cannot believe Sir Elcroy thinks humans were first ennobled by serving the rebellious duke. Others say the prolonged palace siege might have been a mistake, and storming the palace would have been a better choice. Soon the ideas start flying. Some cause only laughter, while others lead to debate. They are discussing the past of Anazot, the past of your hometown. You cannot possibly stay silent right now. You were in command of the Imperial legions back then. What would you have done? Based on what you know about the rebellion of Magra, you see three potential strategies. The first involves calling upon the twins' miracles to rob Melanides of magic and render him powerless. The second entails putting your faith in the discipline and valor of the army for a frontal assault. The third means drawing out the siege while making the enemy's life as hard as possible through cunning. Which of these three strategies would you have chosen? Rely on the will of the twins? Relying on the strength and valor of the Imperial legions would have been the best choice? Or lay siege? I think I would seize it by cunning. I feel like patient planning is the play. We're gonna lay siege. You decide it is time for you to answer Sir Elcroy. The proper way to bring down the castle of Anazot would have been through a prolonged siege, you say. The lands of Magra could no longer feed the warriors of Shar Melanides at the stage of the rebellion, and when their supplies eventually ran out, they would have opened the gate from the inside. Sir Elcroy looks at you, studying you attentively. Gunter Elcroy, I agree with what you're saying, young Brant, in a sense. Had the Imperial forces done that, they would have lost fewer men and kept the palace of Anazot intact. Yet you are missing my other point here. Melanides' army would have continued fighting, even after emaciating by the siege, even with their numbers dwindling. True, some did flee, but those who stayed to defend the city and the castle, even after the Imperial forces broke in, remained loyal to their lord until the very end. Long ago, only Archeans had the right to wield weapons and wage war, but now humans can prove their merit and earn the same right. Humans, like ourselves. And the present empire has grown even stronger thanks to its new empires and functionaries. These days, humans can judge and rule and create. The terrors wrought by the rebellious Duke are undeniable, yet this rebellion created new possibilities for all of us. All this, young men, is the moral of the story. Sir Brante was defeated, not by the clergy and their prayers, and not even by the noble militias assembled by other archdukes. He was vanquished by the imperial legions, a unified army with clear regulations and ranks and a clear chain of command, an army that is strong in discipline and loyalty to the emperor. His eyes finally move away from you and back to the rest of the young men in the hall, but nobody else dares to argue with the battle-hardened officer. The evening continues. Sir Elcroy shares some of his war stories, each more astounding than the last. For the rest of the night, you're out of the Baron's center of attention, so you join Tomas and the other cadets in sipping wine and enjoying his tales. You return to the college long after midnight. You often recall Baron Elcroy's story about the rebellion of Sir Brante after that. The rebellious Duke lost the war, and yet he brought about drastic changes for humans and the entire empire. My valor is plus one. Hey, I'm a dangerous enemy now. Invincible. Okay. Spiritor. Criminal mastermind? Oh, your talent for inciting riots, organizing ambushes, and plotting murders, assaults, and sabotage in terms of the success of your criminal undertakings. Most important to the conspirator. Okay. I want to be a conspirator, but I'm currently a judge. I feel like I'm outsmarting my... I feel like I'm playing the long game here, and hopefully I can get that conspirator rank up level high enough for me to be able to use the options I need to in order to play out the narrative like I want it to happen. Year 1136 summer. Letters from home. Before I get into it here real quick, I feel like I just said that in the most confusing way possible. I hope that I can get my conspirator level high enough in order to use the dialogue options or the narrative options I want in order to bring about the ending or the result I want in my own way. All right. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events and work in Magra and writes very little about the family. Robert Brant. It makes me proud that I managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we host. He has already made several crucial acquaintances. But Gloria has a different opinion of Stefan. She thinks your older brother is taking more and more after grandfather. Gloria. Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around here. We barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemaid. Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan just barely managed to graduate from school. Lydia Brant. It makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day, he told me he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures and our walks to the church by the silver tree. He accompanies me every time. Your sister and your younger brother write about Mother too, and they say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mention her steps echoing the halls in the middle of the night. There's one more thing Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days. Nathan Brant. Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lowly commoner to make her shut up. You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home providence. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you. Stefan Brant. Why do I lose one relationship? Because I read the letter. Also lose one relationship with Gloria and Nathan. Why? Okay. I didn't even get an option there. The first case. You will become a judge one day, so you are sent to the prefecture of Eterna to be mentored by a more experienced colleague. Your mentor is a judge of considerable age, a noble of the mantle, with a proud bearing about him. He never misses a chance to remind you that being mentored by such an experienced man of office is a great honor. Your mentor entrusts you with his minor cases, and to his great joy, his night shift. Another night begins. The office is growing darker. You are still there, zealously filling out paperwork for the day. A petty theft, a verbal assault against a noble of the sword by a commoner. A fine for the parents of children who covered an imperial institution with obscene drawings. Petty cases, all of them, but they are real cases a judge has to face. And so you sit there, carefully comparing complaints, statements, and witness testimony. Then the door of your office swings open. A guard drags in a provocatively dressed girl. Her golden hair is undone and her makeup is a fiery red. Girls like her sell their bodies in houses of ill repute. The next to enter the office is a stout priest, his face adorned by a nose of remarkable shape and a huge wart on his cheek. You do your best to avoid staring at it. Moly, 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 moly. A guard gives you his report. The girl was arrested with a certain gentleman in the park by the Temple of the Twins. They are communicating acts of carnality, an affront to the faith. The huffing and puffing priest interrupts him and starts yelling. He saw her doing magic, he did. The guard was enthralled by the girl, and he was glowing like a lamppost. You gesture for the priest to stay quiet and ask if the guard can prove this. The guard only shrugs. He didn't see anyone glowing. He arrested the girl for her sacrilegious conduct alone. The man in her company was a noble, so the guard couldn't bring her himself to arrest him. He does, however, remember his name. The priest is huffing and puffing even louder now. It was magic, he screams. You must refer this case to the Inquisition. This witch was loose on the streets of the Empire's illustrious capital, seducing good men with her vile charms. The girl stays quiet all the while. Her eyes are emerald green, twinkling with gold as she looks at you. When she does speak, her voice is soft, like smooth velvet. Alis. My name is Alis, Your Honor. All I did was obey the gentleman's wish. He wanted my affection, right by the temple, and I dared not oppose him. I did not defy my lot, did I? The wench looks up and meets your gaze as she says these words. Her eyes reflect the candlelight in the dusk, sending sparks of gold dancing across the walls. The guard stands awkwardly by the door, sighing. The priest goes off on another rant. You tell him, be quiet. The day is not over yet. You must decide how to resolve this unusual case on your own. The law says the judge must investigate all circumstances related to the case. You know the name of the nobleman who was seen with this girl in the throes of passion. The guard is afraid to question him, but you are a future nobleman yourself, a young judge. Surely you can find a way to resolve this matter with discretion and get the information you need from the nobleman. But perhaps the suspicious lady of evening, Alis, is at the heart of the matter. You have no doubt she will reveal her true colors if you question her. If the priest was right about her using magic, the girl's fate is sealed. Alis, Your Honor. You look up from your desk and into the eyes of the beautiful Alis, and you suddenly feel as though a divine light is shining upon you. This emotion flows like a river. It lifts you up. This is more than beauty, more than passion. This is much, much more. Will you resist this call, or will you heed it? So find the nobleman who is alleged in Alis's company and question him delicately about the incident. Interrogate Alis, or release her. I don't want to be like, I don't want to hurt her. I feel like I'm gonna find the nobleman. I'm gonna find the nobleman. I think that's a smart play here. I don't want to just straight jump into interrogation. You tell the guard to take the girl to a holding cell. Her eyes are filled with chagrin and pity as the man takes her away. You compose a polite and thorough letter to Sir Diego El Couture, the nobleman seen with the girl in question. You delicately hint that his reputation will be safe and promise full confidentiality. When you come to the office the next morning, you see a nervous young nobleman waiting at the door. You must be Judge Brante, he says. You meet Sir El Couture with a dignified greeting and start questioning him on the case of Alis the Harlot. Is it true that the two of them ended up in the Temple Park because this was Sir El Couture's wish? He says he barely remembers last night. He was quite inebriated and determined to have a good time. He spotted Alis by accident. She was standing under a lamppost by the temple. As for the Temple Park, he does not quite remember why they ended up there. You take his statement in accordance with established procedure. Next question. Would Sir El Couture say his mind was clouded by the young woman? The nobleman turns red. He asks quietly, haven't you seen the last yourself, Sir Brante? How could anyone ignore her? Still, you ask, was there anything suspicious about her? He speaks slowly. Yes, it was as though she could see his every desire, and he was happy beyond measure in her embrace. It felt like the gods themselves were smiling at him, Sir Elkator, and yet, perhaps it was merely the wine and her beauty and nothing else. He thanked the young nobleman for his honesty and promised to keep his statement a carefully guarded secret. You sentenced the harlot to 2 days in a pillory for defiling a place of worship with her depravity. You find no reason to refer Alis to the Inquisition, however. You write case closed on Alis's file and put it in the archives. Hey man, honestly, real talk. I like the outcome. It's the outcome that I think I desired the most. I did not feel like putting my job and my place in jeopardy for her. I could not tell if she was using magic. I don't like the Inquisition at all, so denying them that is a small win. And I feel like this was the smart play. Alis's rescue event has happened. Alis's death is prevented. You save the enigmatic singer known as the Golden Voice from an untimely death. We saved her from death. Year 1137, 19 years of age. Year 1137, summer, the overseer of Magra. 2 major events take place while you are busy living your life. Firstly, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the great chancellor of the empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement is the Archduke of Monia, Argirius Monroe, the same Monroe who sought to shut down the college. The most powerful lord in the realm finally convinced the emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the lowborn. Now the policies of the empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new great chancellor will destroy the imperial code of law and the other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumors among the people. They say the new great chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the other brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke. After all, it makes sense for its province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Melanidas is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the Emperor's court say this is a stratagem by the Arcanian gentry, who want Gaius removed from court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Melanidas will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Okay, these constantly pushing. Okay, sidebar. Gaius Tempest, Cornelius Tempest, Chancellor Arcanian, and then like Tarquinius Melanidas. Oh, so many long names to try to say in like 5 sentences. Like a tongue twister. Only one thing is clear. Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes. Struggle for power and peace. The Great Feast for All. The capital is preparing for a great celebration, the coming of the age of Gerian Tempest, heir to the throne. The streets are being cleaned, and the lowborn merchants are gone from the squares, and flags and flower garlands have appeared on the buildings. By the Emperor's decree, everyone will celebrate for the next 3 days. Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy will be there to show their gratitude to the Emperor's family for entrusting them with the power they yield. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wild. The streets are scrubbed clean, and the scent of flowers fill the air. You march side by side, O Tomas, carrying the banner of your province. Your friend's brown hair is unusually well combed today. He waves to every girl you see on the streets as you pass by. They giggle shyly, and some of them wave back. Tomas Guerrero. Did you see that, pal? Look at that beauty. She just smiled at me. Now this is what I call living. I just love parades. The Tempest royal family observes the slowly approaching parade from the balcony of the Imperial Palace. They are joined by the Emperor's highest dignitaries and provincial overseers. You see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes. There, high above, yet so close. The columns come to a halt at the balcony and salute the Empire with the mottos of the college and the academy. You join the other college students in crying, "Learning is strength, learning is will." The Emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. His voice echoes across the square. Uther, Tempest II. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects. Take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service of the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle, by my grace. The future nobles around you cheered the Emperor's words, but their jubilation gives you way to murmurs of discontent when Archduke Monroe, the new Great Chancellor of the Empire, steps onto the balcony. Everyone here remembers all too well how the Archduke attempted to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Arcadian gentry. He is the force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor, and so he is the Great Chancellor for now. Argerius Monroe. Hail, your Emperor common folk. Be forever obedient and grateful for the good graces you do not deserve by birth. The Archduke does not even bother to hide his contempt for the gathering below. Booed by the crowd, he rejoins the dignitaries in the back row. You notice one of them, a slender, elegant figure under an emerald green banner with a black snake. She is an Octavia Melendez, daughter to the Archduke of Magra. Thomas Guerrero. Now that's new. You noticed Octavia too, eh? Our Archduke Melendez sent his daughter instead. It's a sign of disrespect for the Emperor if I've ever seen one. Is he so enraged because he's no longer the overseer of Magra? I mean, you can imagine his surprise. That's never happened before. But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Archaean with a shy smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Jerian, heir to the throne, ward of Cornelius, promise and hope of the common estate. To the left of Jerian is his younger brother Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he is seeing. Jerian and Tempest. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in our loyal service to the Empire. Exalted by these words, the future nobles roar as one. All hail Prince Jerian! Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Arcanian, elegantly dressed. His mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms, about to make a speech. Thomas Guerrero. Hey, look, that's Gaius Tempest, the Emperor's brother, and the new overseer of Magra, by the by. It seems the Arcanian elders want him as far from the throne as possible, just like his other brother Cornelius. Those two have been promising too many freedoms to commoners like you and me. Gaius Tempest. Long live Prince Jerian. Students of the college, cadets of the academy, time and again you have proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Jerian, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. On the balcony high above, Prince Jerian also remains still, awaiting a reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monroe briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Argerius Monroe. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest Dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessing. You may leave now. But the columns stay where they are. Thomas Guerrero. That's not what Tempest Gaius says. Let the Emperor hear us. The law, we ask for the law. Commotion and murmurs spread over the crowd as some of the future nobles refuse to follow the Archduke's orders. There are shouts here and there. The law! We ask for the law! The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume their parade, but tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. You have to decide where you stand. You wait to see how events unfold. Who wants to end up joining the losing side too early? You follow the orders from above and direct your column to withdraw from the square. You join the call to have your right to nobility codified. We're going to demand our rights. A great feast for all. You cry out in support of Gaius Tempest's call for the law. You have the right to be heard, and you have the right to ask. Your voice grows stronger. Soon others join you. The chant grows louder with every second. The law! The law! Inspired by the support of your fellow students and cadets, you move through the square and urge others to join you. Tomas walks by your side, waving his arms wildly, inciting others to shout along with you. Thomas Guerrero, the law! The law! You, Tomas, and other vocal students and cadets gather in the very center of the square. Academy officers are trying to shout you into submission, and you order you back into the procession, but they are barely heard above your chant. Still, some submit and form back into the columns, but the impassioned chant continues, and you are at the very heart of the chanting crowd. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing on the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out of the square. You have to stand your ground, so you start giving orders to defend the cobblestones beneath your feet with your fellow future nobles. You assemble into a double chain formation along the center of the square. It is strong enough to prevent the Imperial Guard from reaching the very center. Commoners go running left and right, away from the horses, but the cavalry stops when it reaches your double chain. They cannot break through unless they are ordered to attack, and so they halt and wait for orders. The horses paw at the cobblestones. The cavalry swords are drawn, ready to come crashing down upon your heads. It is a standoff between the armor-clad cavalry and the unarmed students and cadets. Emperor Uther II appears on the balcony again, joined by his brother Gaius Tempest and heir to the throne Gerion Tempest. With a gesture, the emperor calls for attention. The square falls silent at the sight of their sovereign. Uther Tempest II. My subjects, I have heard your request. There is no need to repeat it again and again. The great Imperial Council shall review my brother's proposal. Now follow your lot and obey my will. Continue the parade and sing the praises to the ever-merciful Prince Gerion. Those words from the emperor are enough to quell the commotion in the square. The standoff ends and the cavalry withdraws. Thomas Guerrero. Well, would you look at that, old friend? We did it. We stood up for our noble right and we won. That's the emperor's word. That's what our courage can do. Voices from the crowd are quick to disprove Tomas. The emperor never gave his word. He only promised to review the proposal. People began to argue around you again. This time, however, no one wishes to disobey the order from on high, and so the students line up into columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and everyone reassumes the festive parade through the city streets. Glory to the Emperor Uther! Glory to Prince Gerion! The Way of the Sword. Your studies at the college come easily to you. Only now do you realize the importance of all the lessons you had to endure as a child at father's expense. Month after month you study the judge's trade, down to the smallest details, growing more confident in your new calling with every lecture. But there is more to your education than the judge's trade in imperial law. You also learn manners and courtly etiquette, and poetry and composition, and even fencing. On some days, you go with Tomas to a deserted patch of land to practice with the sword. Then finally, the day of your judge's exam comes. You send your test results to father and you prize an appointment to a judge's office at the prefecture of Magra. Now you have a new life and a new profession back home. You will return to your hometown as a judge. It is early morning at the great temple of the twins. Your heart skips a beat as you step inside the temple. It feels like that day from your childhood again. The priest is standing at the altar. The temple is divided into two halves. But you are no longer a frightened little child anymore. You are now a grown man who's about to become a noble. The floor on the common side is there to cause pain. You feel the jagged edges even through the soles of your boots. The pain marks your final few seconds as a commoner. The priest stands before you. You kneel again, but now there is warm, smooth marble underneath your knees. You hear the words spoken above your head. From this day forth, your lot is strength and will. From this day forth, you will rule and fight and pursue the arts. Now rise, noble. You place your lips on the smooth steel of the sword, and when you rise again, you realize that the trembling you felt ever since your first sacrament is now completely gone. You arise a new man, your every motion now uncannily accurate, your thoughts surprisingly fresh, your muscles ready to face this fight. This day feels worthy of a poem, and now you can compose one if you wish. You touch your back. The mark of the lash from your previous sacrament is gone completely, erased forever. You hurry from the sacrament back to your room at the college. Your father gifts awaits you there, a sword. Your very own sword. Now to celebrate, all college students are invited to the college tournament and then a party. The sword feels wonderful in your hand, a promise of future victories. The tournament begins. The stands are loud with anticipation. Never in your entire life had you been so many beautiful ladies in one place. Have you seen so many beautiful ladies in one place? But there is only one who attracts everybody's attention. The raven-haired, black-eyed Octavia Melanides, the daughter to the Archduke of Magra, that graced the tournament with a visit. She is wearing a dress of emerald green, her austere hairdo immaculate. She is surrounded by her ladies in waiting, all beauties in their own right. When a noble enters the tournament, he must announce the name of the lady whose honor he is fighting for. Many shout the names of their loved ones in the stalls. You know that many would fight for Octavia Melanides, but the onus of responsibility is too great. You take a few jabs with the sword, warming up for the fight. Soon it is your turn. All eyes are on you now. The young lady Octavia hides her face beneath the hand, yet her eyes watch you with curiosity. Choose a lesser-known lady in waiting in the stalls and fight for her. Dedicate your fight to your father. You say you will fight for the honor of Octavia Melanides. I don't have enough willpower? Shit. She was kind of not nice to me, though. But can I use that relationship to my advantage? And is it worth using my willpower? There is still Sophia. For your nobility to him. I wish I could do this one. We're gonna try it just because I'm curious. It's more of a curiosity. Fight for the best. You approach the stalls and shout clearly and loudly. You'll fight for the honor of the young Duchess Octavia Melanides. Slowly, she rises from her seat. The stalls grow quiet. If you suffer defeat after such insolent words, you may face the ire of one of the ancient Arcanian dynasties. Octavia Melanides, Sir Davvon Brante. How do I know this name? Ah, yes, you have already dared to draw my attention once. In memory of our amusing encounter, I will grant you the honor of fighting in my name. Do not disgrace it. These stalls explode with applause, celebrating your courage. The first fight begins. The rules are the same as any noble duel. Whoever draws first blood wins. Your first opponent does not put up much of a fight. A few minutes later, he misses a jab to the thigh. Your shirt is soaked with sweat, the hilt of your sword slippery in your wet fingers. From behind her emerald hand fan, Octavia watches you closely from her seat. You prevail in 3 straight fights in a row and prepare to face a new opponent. You know him well. He was mentored at the prefecture of Eterna after you. He is unusually quick and nimble fighter. He catches you with a feint, then follows it up with a slight jab to the side. Fair enough. 3 victories, not bad. You salute Octavia Melanides with your sword, and she gracefully accepts your gesture. Let's go. You have proven yourself well, Sir Brante. Who knew you would become a noble, and we would meet again here in the capital of the Empire? I must say, I am amazed. The eyes of the young Archduke follows you even as you leave the arena. You will remember this day the rest of your life, the day when you became a noble. He is intrigued by me. Okay. Diplomacy +1. Promising. Graduate from the college, year 1137. You have earned the judge's mantle and the noble title. Year 1137. Winter. Diamond stands trial. Just before you leave the capital, you hear something unusual on the street. Junius Diamond, Patriarch of Estania, and one of the leaders of the new faith will stand trial before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing the blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamond was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused of forming the Lotless, a dangerous secret society based in the imperial capital. Members of this society have been assaulting the inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the holy law. Now the Patriarch must face the holy tribunal of the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow to the new faith, and the end of days for Junius Diamond himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to rid the land of this unwelcome Patriarch who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It is no less stunning than the accusation. Patriarch Junius: these words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring this accusation against me in person. But I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of the responsibility for this slander against me, my flock, the Diamond Dynasty, and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial before the Holy Tribunal, but I'll face them on my own land and on my own terms. Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Archnia. Parishes of the new faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamond. The Church of the Twin Gods is about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert this coming schism. Their new official stance is that Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply more cautious judgment during any further trials against the followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of Patriarch Fotis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamond has been averted, but the divide within the church is only deepening. The new faith has directly challenged the old faith. The result is uncertain, depending on who you ask. Some say Junius Diamond has all but pleaded guilty. Others believe that Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the church, as well as the Inquisition, is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like this one, of the Secret Chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Astynia and co-leader of the new faith remains at his post. But for how long, and how will the old faith and the new faith clash next? Church, -1. Schism, good. Screw the church. A farewell to the capital. The Reglata and Talrina rivers meet outside the city walls. You have barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze is blowing in your face, and the bright noon sun hangs above the shining pillar. Your stay in Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here, a boy, full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations, and a desire to live your life as you saw fit. You now have to leave, and this thought fills you with gentle sadness. Eterna did not become your home, and yet here you have finally found your path. Here in the capital, you became a nobleman and a judge. Now you are one of the rulers, the warriors, the pleasure seekers, the creators, those who spilled their blood for the empire and family and honor, those who keep and honor the age-old traditions. This is your lot now. You are to work in the prefecture of your home province as a judge. Your path to this goal was a long one, and your friend Tomas was by your side all the while. You fondly recall your walk through the streets of Eterna, your secret fencing lessons, your heartfelt discussions. You have no doubt your future back in Anazat will be full of glory. And then you recall the black, enigmatic eyes of Octavia Melanidis, an Archnian form from one of the great dynasties, a woman whose beauty and majesty make you tremble. You heard she'll be returning to the court of her father, the Archduke in Magra. Will you ever see her again? You will meet father once more. He tends to hide his feelings, but not this time. After all, you have fulfilled all his hopes, succeeded in your studies, and continued your father's noble legacy. Many things must have changed back home by now. You recall your older brother Stefan. Now that you have been ennobled, you are practically equals at last. This means you should follow an old tradition and bring Stefan a gift, and so you head for the market district of Eterna. Soon you are busy trying out swords at a weaponsmith's shop. There's a lot to consider for this gift. Stefan is taller, and his shoulders are broader, which means his sword must be heavier and longer. There can be no embellishments. Stefan would scoff at him if you brought him an extravagant weapon. At last you find a suitable sword, blackened steel, a subtle ornament of leaves on the blade, and a grip shaped like women vines. It resembles the seared soil of Magra beneath the silver tree. You choose a sheath with the same diligence. There, a light wooden frame bound in thick yet sturdy leather will make the blade easy to draw, and the buckle is sturdy enough. You leave the shop satisfied. You leave the capital the morning after Eterna. The city where you spent 4 years slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You did not know. The sword, a gift for Stefan, is in your hands. Okay, so Stefan gets along with us really well now. Homecoming, year 1137. After 4 years in the capital, you have returned to your home city of Anazat. The end of youth. The years of your youth have come to an end. The time has come to leave the capital behind and return to your family and new business in your hometown of Anazat. The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this lot for yourself, or was it your destiny all along ever since your childhood years? All you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. End of chapter 3. Youth. As always, I appreciate anybody who stopped to listen to watch the playthrough. Appreciate everybody. If you guys are enjoying this playthrough, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below if you guys would have done any of these decisions differently. I'm finding myself torn on some of them, and I'm really wishing that I had enough willpower to have made, for example, a different decision towards Octavia, or for example, the Tomas making a friendship, a promise of friendship, or did you charge out with Sophia? There's so many of them that I was torn on, but that's the fun of the game. It makes it so intriguing, and I'm excited to see where we're gonna end with this. I feel like I'm playing my political pieces right. If that's even a portion of the game, that's a possibility. I feel like I've kind of set things up to play out the narrative like I envision it, or hopefully it's gonna go. I want to overthrow stuff from the inside. I want to do like a 180 swerve on some of the people, and hopefully I've created enough alliances with people that I will have support from those around in order for me to enable it. If not, then I leave them behind, I guess. But either way, again, I appreciate y'all, love y'all. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys in chapter 4. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.
Want to get some music for this?
Nope.
How long will that go?
You said 30 seconds.
How long have I been going?
10.
Am I doing it right?
I have no idea. I'm not even
Is this
watching.
31?
No comment.